Hey YouTube, it's the aviation enthusiast here with another video on Airwaysim. I hope you're all keeping well. Today's video is we're going to go again into Speedy Recovery Game World, have a quick overview, and it should be quite a short video as today I'm going to be covering a fairly basic topic in terms of opening new bases, what you need to look out for, when is a good time to open a new base, and the watch outs. So I'm going to go into Speedy Recovery Game World, just have a quick overview for those who have been following the progress of this game so far. So we're now in the year 2023, nearly 2024. As you can see, my company profit is solid. Got over 3 billion in cash, and quite significant growth has been happening in my airline. Particularly when we look at, I've opened another base in Germany. Now this is very unusual, particularly to this game world. You can open any base anywhere in the world. Typically that's not the case, but as you can see, passengers, I haven't really grown that much, but my cargo is growing all the time, and that's what I'm particularly focusing on as well, is cargo, because it's so profitable. I've been growing with a lot of 747 800 freighters, also with Airbus A330-200s and Airbus 321-200s, which are converting to freighters as well, for some of the more domestic routes that are available, but also some international routes with two tech stops where there's large airports, so you can't land a very large aircraft, and therefore I operate the A321 instead. So overall everything is going well. I've also started pushing my company image to 100. It's nearly there. It goes very slowly between 90 and 100. It's like it's a snail's pace. Let me just show you company image. You see it's nearly there, and look, if we look at it almost a year ago, it was at 95.7, so it goes very slowly between 90 and 100. But yeah, I've opened up in Cologne in Germany, which is quite a big cargo base for me now. I'm operating 119 aircraft so based there. They're not all scheduled yet, but they're mostly 747-800 freighters. Well, all of them actually are, because that's the only cargo aircraft I'm based there so far. So that's really what I've focused on up until now. My competitors, I've only got one real competitor in my HQ, and his profits aren't really growing, but he is quite substantially in terms of aircraft size, and my slot situation is not the best in New York, so it's due another infrastructure upgrade soon, because we're starting to run out of slots at key times, but I can still work with him if I need to, and he's just overtaken me in terms of slots again, so he shows he's still growing, and I might need to counter that at some point as well. But that's what I'm really using the A330-200 still for, and the A321 freighters are still being deployed in New York, and my other freighters are being deployed into Cologne. So what I wanted to do today was actually give you an overview in terms of opening a new base, some of the common mistakes that are being made, and some of the misconceptions that might be around opening new bases. So if you look at base airports, I'm just going to show you how I would open a new base. I'm not at the stage where I need to open a new base now, because I can still have plenty of growth in my current base. But I will show you the steps that we need to be taken to go into consideration to set up a new base. So at the moment I've got 112 aircrafts in my second base that are operating, and still go all the way up to 770, and this level increases every year until the maximum theoretical level you can reach. So you need to know when it's really good time to set up a new base, because opening a new base doesn't necessarily mean more profit. So that's important to know. It's a misconception. A lot of people think, oh, I'll add another base, I'm going to create more profit. It can be, but not always, and it's often misunderstood. So typically I would start to look at opening a new base when I'm starting to run out of slots. I can't schedule efficiently anymore. My aircrafts are starting to get grounded, and I need to schedule more efficiently again. Then there's this time it's like, look, these aircrafts I can't schedule efficiently, let's start opening a second airport and grow from there. Another reason why I would open another base is when I see a key competitor moving to another base, either my own competitor or an alliance member competitor that we're looking to, slow down a bit, we might counter that as well and then move there as well just to grow as well, but also to make sure that our key competitors aren't outpacing ourselves or our members, or just purely you're just looking to grow further. You look, I feel like I've reached all the capacity I have in my current base. I can't, find any more routes that need to be flown right now, and therefore it's time for me to move on, especially if you're in a smaller base initially. This might happen quite quickly, saying, look, I need another base, and therefore I'm going to expand further. So in terms of opening a new base, what you would need to do is you find an airport. Now, in this example, I can go anywhere in the world. Now, in normal game modes, you're restricted to your own country, or if you're in Europe from 1997 onwards, you can base inside the EU. And typically, other countries get added as they become member of the European Union. Now, Brexit hasn't been modeled in here yet, so we're sure that might come in the future once we know what's happening around that. So that's an interesting development to keep an eye on in the real world to see how that gets impacted into Airwaysim. But as for now, nothing has been modeled yet to take the United Kingdom out of EU. So, as I said, I'm just going to show you how you would create one and the thing you need to take into consideration. Now, I'm just going to look for the sake of one airport. I'm not going to actually go ahead with it. So let's say I just wanted to do Atlanta. Now, when you choose another airport, one thing you really need to take into consideration is make sure that it kind of matches your current airport that you already have. But what I mean by that is, like, if you have a predominantly long haul base with a lot of cargo, you want to try and find another base that has a similar profile, just so you can fly the same aircraft models, the same aircraft types, so you don't have to start having a specific fleet type dedicated to a base, because that's not an efficient way of doing it. You would just have to add more fleet types, and it makes it more difficult, especially in longer game modes, to do efficient transitions. So try and fit a base that works with your current bases and has a similar demand profile. So in this case, I'm just showing you what to take into consideration. You would have to have a look at the slots. Is it worthwhile moving there? Who's based there? You can't base in another base where you already have an alliance member. And you just need to have a look at who's there, what's available, are the routes fully supplied or not, are you in a position of strength to go in there and attack, or are you likely going to get punished and expect a counter attack in your HQ. So those are the things you need to be aware of. So I'm just going to say confirm, and that would be Atlanta that would be set up. But as I said, I'm not going to confirm this. But one thing here is base level that people I've seen, especially new players, have not taken into consideration, and they look at this small base, medium base, large base, very large base, and many times new players, they will go for a very large base because they believe a very large base gives them a lot more demand. Now, regardless of what base you choose here, you get the same demand. The only thing this is linked to is what type of aircraft you can fly there. So every aircraft type has a size allocated to it. So it's either a small aircraft, a medium aircraft, a large aircraft, or a very large aircraft. So if you have a large base, it means you can fly every aircraft up until large. You can fly small, medium, and large aircraft, so you can't operate very large. But if you plan to operate very large aircraft, you need to go very large base. So this is how the allocation works. And it's very important not to over specify it, because you will end up paying more than what you need to. So if you're only operating medium type aircrafts and you want to just put medium type aircraft in a certain base, do not go and create a large base or a very large base, because your overhead costs will just shoot through the roof. So pick the relevant size based on the planned aircraft type you're planning to fly there. So that's quite an important tip. I felt it was quite straightforward, but I've seen a lot of players making this basic mistake. And let's just say I'm going to choose a very large base. It will give you a setup cost, so that's a one-off hit. But very importantly is then to understand the staff cost of your HQ and your base. So when I mean other bases are not always as profitable as what you may think it is that because a lot of the costs, when you look at the income statement, are not visible, particularly at base level. They get absorbed by the HQ. So people might think they're making more profit, but in reality, it's just the cost is increased in their HQ, but at base level it shows a profit, and it's not a true reflection of the reality. And the larger base you choose, the more aircrafts you typically need to put in a base to recover all these additional costs. So you need to be aware of these staff costs that get added to your HQ. And as you will grow into your secondary base, these costs will also start to increase in your HQ. So staff cost is quite a big factor to take into consideration. Now, as I said, I'm not going to create one in this one because I've already got one I need to fill, but just to show what I mean by that is like if you click on your income statement, and this is my company-wide data. If I look at just my Cologne base, you would say, hey, this looks very good, right? I'm nearly making 500 million operating revenue, and 42%. But look at some of the things like marketing costs not in there. Another one is like staff training. A lot of the costs are not actually shown in the actual level, but they will be added into your HQ level, and it is a misunderstanding in terms of the cost. So typically you will make profit, but it's not a true representation of the true cost of your base. So keep that in mind, because 1 + 1 base is not equals to 2. Often you'll find that you're actually not making more profit than what you thought you were. So that self-delta was an important factor to share. So that's really an overview in terms of creating a new base. It's quite a simple process to do. Thought I'd share it just because I've seen many people make that mistake in terms of especially the size of base that needs to be added. If you got any questions or you want me to cover any topic on Airwaysim, just let me know in the comment section below. I follow the advice. If you got any questions, I will share any advice. Shout out to some of the people who have actually been following this channel already and have seen doing some successful moves in Airwaysim and learning day by day. Just to leave a comment with any questions. Keep an eye out for the next video. And again, thanks for watching, and we'll keep in touch.